these other experiences that we have, they're part of the equation. They help us learn, they help us grow, they help us gain perspective, they help us refine and focus and decide and choose who do we want to be instead. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Christina and we're back for another intuitive weekly reading for the collective. Somehow I still struggle with that little line at the beginning of all these videos. Weekly reading for the collective. Weekly intuitive reading for the collective. Welcome. I hope you guys had a great week. Last week's reading about the tsunami, that was pretty foretelling of my week. It was a rough week. Anyone else have a rough week? Whoa, what a wave of emotions I went through. Really had to round and root into some forgiveness and understanding and just being with the fucking confusion, and it was rough. It was rough. I'll just say that. Maybe more specifics will come up in this reading, but definitely felt the tsunami this last week, but definitely feel like the storm passed and I'm here clear, sitting on the beach, sunshine, and hear the seagulls and the waves and smelling the salt in the air and feeling good. So happy Sunday. Tell me how your week was in the comments and let's get into it. Mountain strength. This is a very nice card. Okay, so there's a few points that are coming up for this, and I'm a little nervous because last week seemed to be really existential and kind of all over the place. When I listened back to the reading, I was satisfied. It seemed clear and it kind of just flowed with the points. But I have a similar experience coming up for this one, so I'm nervous. I'm okay, I hope this all makes sense. So the first point that's coming up is how mountains form, how they form. It's actually the crust and the land coming together and crashing into each other and pushing up the mountain, forming the land, it's basically two parts are just coming together and then they go and then they're pushing up. So that's how mountains form. I think all my years on earth, this is what I've gathered. That's how mountains are formed in the very elementary understanding. So it's that point of, and actually this relates to my past week, it's it is not this smooth sailing, all is well, la la la, peace and love, and now I'm enlightened. It's I fucking have some conflict and turmoil and fucking darkness inside of me that I have to fucking face and fucking sort through and understand and have this experience of just fucking crushing together and just fucking crashing together and uprooting myself and just feeling I'm oh god, that's the experience that I had this last week. And but what happened was you come out the other side of it and you're fucking enlightened from the perspective of now I see more clearly what I was doing, why I was doing it, who I was and who I don't want to be, and how I want to change and how I want to do things differently. So for example, for me, I was putting my mental health and my well-being and my happiness secondary to ideas of who I thought I was supposed to be and what I think I'm supposed to do, and these ideas of we have these ideas that we place on ourselves of what is supposed to happen, and then we try to control situations to mold it to this should that we exist within, when really if I can just surrender and give it up and let it go and trust and not try to control and force, but go with the flow and make sure that I'm fucking making my happiness and my well-being a priority, then things are gonna go more smoothly. But it's not to judge how we experience some things. It's not to judge these moments when I have fucking emotional breakdowns and when I feel overwhelmed and when I feel like I fucking can't go on like this, because it's those moments that show me what I'm doing and how I can do things differently and where I'm misplacing my value and my attention and my priority. Does that make sense? If it doesn't, please let me know. But it's just that point of mountains, a mountain, look at this top of the mountain. Where do you think you have the best view of everything on a mountain? Right at the fucking peak, right? Right at the top of the mountain. But the way that this mountain is formed is not just like rising and just being at the top of the mountain and now it can see everything. No, it had to go through fucking hell. It had to go through fucking transformation and like changing and fucking like rocks slamming together and crashing and burning like what it takes to actually fucking rise and gain perspective and have understanding. It takes some fucking challenging experiences. So I want me and so us to learn to value and appreciate those experiences without judgment or shame. There's nothing wrong with how we process things, but every opportunity is a moment to learn, right? Like if we don't like the way that we're going through something or how we're reacting to something or how we're relating to something or how we experience ourselves day in and day out, you can change it. You have that power to change it. But adding extra layers of judgment or shame around it doesn't serve us. So it's really about learning how do I embrace all of me, which is not just a steady straight line. It's, if anything, a fucking heartbeat, up and down, up and down, up and down, like an ocean. There's fucking motion in the ocean, okay? So things aren't flatlined because that's dead. That's when you're dead. Things have movement to it and energy flows and fluctuations, and it's learning how to ride those waves, learning how to go with this motion that we experience, because we're not the only ones here. So it's so important that we're just like really firmly grounded and rooted in ourselves and let ourselves go through the experiences we're going through, like face and experience what comes up inside of us, be with the conflict, be with the anger, be with the sadness without judgment, without shame, but like embracing, okay, this is where I am at right now. And this is where we get to like fully unconditional self-acceptance, self-embrace, because that is the only way we're going to transmute it. That's how we alchemize the energy of destruction, is that we be in and as the energy of destruction, and I am this in this moment, and I accept me as I am because I understand why I'm here and how I got here, and I love me regardless, unconditionally. I'm here for me, I love me. And in an instant like that, we can dissolve that dark energy, and all of a sudden what's left is who we really are, which is clarity, peace, calm, love, acceptance, understanding, forgiveness, harmony. Like that is the truth of us. But these other experiences that we have, they're part of the equation. They help us learn, they help us grow, they help us gain perspective, they help us refine and focus and decide and choose who do we want to be instead. And so that takes strength. Here's the word, strength. It takes strength to face yourself in who you are currently accepting and allowing yourself to be. It takes strength to do that, to not run and to not hide, even though it's easy. Ultimately, in the end, it's going to be the harder path. And so for me this last week, it was really important and a lesson learned for me to like not suppress and judge and shame myself for what I experienced, but to be in the experience. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I'm fucking up. I feel like a failure. I feel like, whatever it is that you're experiencing, be with that experience. Because if we try to run or avoid or hide it, we're suppressing it. And when we suppress it, it's just going into the soil to add more, to grow more life. So it's important that we're just with ourselves as we are without judgment. Like this is the time in human history where we have to actually stand in the face of who we've accepted and allowed ourselves to be and become without judgment, without shame, with love, understanding, and compassion. Because if we can't do that for ourselves, how can we ever do that for anyone else? And truly, that's what the world needs. The world needs individuals who can love and accept and understand and embrace everyone as they are, understanding how we got here, that we're just wounded babies running around looking for love. So it's really important that we do this internal work with ourselves, learn how to deal with our experiences and our emotions and not run and hide from ourselves, but to feel it fully so that we can also support other people to do that, because that's the only way. We have to you know, we have to face it. We have to see what we've accepted and allowed. We have to face these fucking uncomfortable experiences that are buried deep within us. What else? Also, just the point of like the peak of the mountain, getting up on the top of the mountain that is you, realizing that's your true position in life. That's really your true like vantage point in life, to see the bigger picture, to see really what's going on, and to have understanding and clarity of why things exist the way that they do, and not get caught up. Again, this is an echo from last week, not to get caught up in the dramas of the things playing out in this reality, which is just polarity fighting. You know, it's just like back and forth, polarized points just fighting with each other. So it's to rise above that and understand what's going on there, and to not participate and don't engage, and realize that that's the old world of existing in extreme separation without any awareness of who we are, which is we're both points. We're both points of the polarity. We're all of it. So how beautiful it is, this design that allows us to see contrast and to experience one side of something, so that we can really get a feel for, is this me? And make a decision. And so it's just that point of like, don't get, you know, go to the peak of the mountain, go high up, walk to the very top of that fucking mountain and stand and see, okay, look at what's actually going on here. And don't like go into the dramas of it, because when you get caught up in the drama, then you're just creating more drama. Like, you have to sort out. When you go into those experiences, now you have to work through all that stuff within yourself, where if you step back, detach, rise up and look, okay, I see what's going on. I don't have to participate. I can understand what's going on. No shame, no judgment. It's all love. I see what's going on, and understanding too, like, everyone's facing a very particular specific relationship in this life, which is to themselves as life. So whatever it is people are acting out or living or expressing or facing or creating, it's specific for them. And like, having a point of trust that life will sort that out with them, that they as life will sort that out with themselves. That's all we're doing. We're all just facing our own experiences and processes in life. And truly, like, we don't need to like save anyone or control anything or try to prevent stuff from happening. Our responsibility is ourselves, and you make sure that you're creating yourself to be a fucking pillar of support for other people to see what's possible, and you are doing what you're supposed to do, and you're doing your job, and you're standing in support of life. Yeah, and that takes strength too, like, because we've all been programmed to exist in a very specific way, which is we feed off of drama and conflict. To not participate, it takes strength to go against your programming. It takes strength to go against your conditioning. It takes strength to not engage in drama and fighting, you know, because that's how we were designed to exist, and to not participate in that is going against your very programming. But it's only hard at first, and once you do it long enough, it gets easier and easier, and then you realize, oh, I don't have to engage at all, and it's just it's no thing. Yeah. Even here, it's like this, seeing these clouds here, it's like, right, like, go up to where the air is clear. Visibility is good. There's no clouds like clouding your judgment or your vision or your, you know, discernment. Like, you know, go rise above the clouds, get into the fucking sky, go to the top of the mountain, take your place at the top of the mountain and gain a little perspective and realize, like, I can have clear vision. I can have clear seeing. I can, like, see from the broadest perspective possible. You can do that. You're allowed to do that. And truly, you should do that, because the more you do that, the more other people see that they can do that. And, you know, hopefully we have more and more people rising to the occasion to claim their, you know, place in life, you know, and, you know, yeah. I mean, really, it's just that point of like, stand up, gain some perspective. Don't get caught up in the emotions and dramas of the world or the personal relationships that are going on. People fighting and blaming and, you know, pushing buttons and reacting to each other. You know, understand and understand why it exists, and, you know, feel for them and place them in your heart, but let it go and, like, don't participate, you know, because you are serving yourself that way, and those people that are fighting, even you're serving them by not engaging and not participating. Okay, let's do the book definition. Even now, like, I have some judgment about this reading. I'm like, this reading doesn't make any sense. It has no, like, substance to it. It feels very, like, flat. And I'm just like, okay. But it's like, okay, I'm not going to judge myself for having that thinking. I'm not going to, like, engage with that thinking and say, yeah, that's right, and then make myself feel worse and then end up stopping and, like, not publishing and sharing myself. It's like, no, okay, I see that there's some reactions I have to my reading and to my sharing, but it's okay. It's okay. This is where I'm at. This is how I feel right now, and that's okay. I don't need to be any different. I don't need to change myself. I can embrace me as I am in this moment, which is, like, not totally satisfied with this reading. So fine, that's okay. Because you know what? It's all good. It's not so serious. Okay, so let's see, strength. You know, it's this point, and this is something that I worked with for pretty much all the videos in my channel. My approach every time I've published any single video, and has become very habit for me, is that I just come and speak in the moment and trust that what I say and what is here and how I express is specifically perfect for the moment as what's best for all. So, like, even if I'm expressing myself and I don't feel like it makes sense, and I don't feel like, you know, there's words here and it's like pouring out of me, you know, and it's like there's this aspect of, like, trust that what I'm saying and how I'm expressing is perfect and specific for those who are seeing it. And, you know, those that resonate will get something specific from it. And, like, just trusting my expression is what is best for all. My expression is what is best for all. Like, that's how I've designed myself in this channel, is to be in the moment, unprepared, unconditional, express, trusting it's perfect as it is. So I'm kind of going on that and leaning on that. That's that point of unconditional expression. Like, I don't need to be a certain way. I don't need to, I don't need to present myself a certain way. I just need to be real with myself in the moment, unconditional expressing. Like, talk about diving in the deep end and really, like, being courageous. Like, okay, Christina, I'm, like, talking to myself now, like, honor and value and appreciate and acknowledge the bravery and courage I've had over these years to just fucking put myself out there without preparation, and, like, really just pushing that point within myself. Like, that's pretty cool. So, good job, Christina. And I say that that's really cool and, like, brave and courageous of me, because I wish you were on the inside of me 10 years ago. I was a scared, insecure little mouse, terrified of everyone and everything. And I still put myself out there, and it's pretty amazing to see me now, because I'm not that. I changed myself. I transformed myself, and it's pretty cool. Okay, so the massiveness of the mountain in this image, bearing the blankets of snow as spectacular hues from the sun reflect from its body, evokes a sense of impenetrable and immovable strength and stature. A mountain's quiet, resolute immensity leaves us in awe and inspires us to reach for greater heights, yet it can also pose challenges. The firm base of the mountain evolves to the narrower crest in its attempt to reach the sky. More daring individuals become enamored by the peak and see it as something to conquer, although it can never be truly conquered. When the mountain feels threatened in some way or simply shrugs its shoulders, the strength exhibited can wreak havoc for all beings caught in its skin. It makes no sense to deny the strength you have at the cost of allowing yourself to be reactive and subject to external influences far beyond what is healthy for you. Solidly grounded in the earth, your head held high as if you were touching the sky, do so without straining, just as the mountain itself does not strain. The current situation calls for you to be vigilant, but not to the point of fear or paranoia, but that rock of strength that you are capable of becoming. The solidness of your resolve will be clearly communicated when you model yourself after the towering immensity of a mountain, impenetrable and inscrutable. Standing steady like a rock is what is called for at this time. I love that, and that opens up a whole other point of, like, for my whole life, I existed in this point of, like, not having any sense of myself. And I've talked about this a lot on my channel. And what that created was a very, like, weak and passive person. Anything could move me. Anyone could move me because I had no standing in myself, because I didn't know who I was. And what I've been busy with for the last 13 years is finding that sturdy standing within myself of knowing who I am. Because when I know who I am, nothing can move me. And I did a video on this too. Like, our greatest superpower is knowing who we are, because nothing then can move us. So I really like this analogy of like standing as the mountain, in terms of, especially when people are clear in who they are and move themselves accordingly, not because of any external point, not to get something, not to be something, not to do something, not to gain something, not for anyone else, but purely for themselves. It seems that people around them, or people could be drawn to them, who try to push you down and try to challenge you and don't like what you're doing, because what you're doing is showing them where they're not standing in themselves, where they haven't established that relationship within themselves. So it's like that point of, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you. If you're moving according to yourself and what you're doing, like, that is your greatest superpower. That is like the greatest asset that you have within yourself. You're moving for you, not for anything else. And when you're moving for you, nothing can move you, because you're moving you for you. So yeah, I just like that analogy of like do your thing. Like, if you're honoring yourself and you're valuing yourself and you see your potential and you're moving and you're expressing according to that, that can bring up fears. I tell you what, I had such a strong reaction when I started opening up and coming into myself more fully after my son Phoenix was born. I had a lot of fear, like that. It was like the whole like being crucified and being burned at the stake. Like, when you step more fully into who you are, you fear being attacked. You fear people not liking you. You fear fucking being tormented and tortured and like people attacking you. And I feared that deeply. I was so afraid to be myself. And the more I stood within myself, the more I feared that, until I realized like the value and importance. And even this last week, this is like a full circle point, like the importance of me valuing myself and my well-being and my happiness and my stability matters way more to me than what anyone thinks of me. So I say bring it on. I'm not scared of the haters or people who like disagree with me or don't like what I'm doing. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks of you. It doesn't matter what anyone thinks of what you're doing. It doesn't matter how people frame you in their own minds. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and their relationship to themselves as life. So I'm just going to continue, and I encourage you to be true to yourself, express yourself, move for yourself, do what you're doing without fear of what other people think, because haters gonna hate. You know what I mean? And chances are, if you're standing within yourself as the sturdy mountain that you are, people are going to try to fucking climb you and push you over and like conquer you. But, you know, just keep standing and then give it a shake every once in a while to rid yourself from the climbers, you know? That's weird. Anyways, yeah, that's good. It's just like, it's time for us to really just start living for ourselves and not for anyone else, and not for ideas about who we're supposed to be for other people. You don't have to be anyone for anyone. You're not responsible for anyone but yourself. Because when you take responsibility for yourself, you're taking responsibility for all life as yourself, because you are life. You are one, unique expression of the universe, but you're not separate from the universe. And so you're not separate from anything or anyone or life at all. And so when you're honoring yourself, when you're expressing yourself, when you're doing what's best for you, you are truly doing what is best for all life. So hold tight to that and hold firm to that, and just keep moving and trusting yourself and expressing yourself. And, yeah. Anyways, I hope you got something out of this reading. Let me know if you did or if you didn't. I would love to see who's watching. And yeah, thanks for walking with, and I'll see you next week.